Tell me what 2 games you think are the greatest of all time. If your answer is Minecraft and Pokemon, I would agree with you. What if I told you that you can combine these 2 games into one? Well, you can, with a Minecraft mod called PIXELMON. Welcome to my second 100 days playing this mod. In my first 100 days, I gave myself 4 different goals. The first one was to complete the entire Generation 1 Pokédex, which consisted of 151 Pokemon. The second goal was to capture a single legendary Pokemon. The third one was to beat a gym. And the fourth one was to complete a Pokéhunt. The regular PIXELMON mod does not offer gyms or Pokéhunts, so I decided to play my journey on the PokéSmash network. This server offers a ton of amazing features, including 8 gyms, a safari, battle towers, tournaments for real-life money, a Warzone where legendary and custom shadow Pokemon have a high chance of spawning, but when you battle other players, the winner can steal your Pokemon. It also offers a Pokéhunt challenge where you have to catch specific Pokemon with a specific nature within a certain time frame to claim an epic reward. Also, there is a Pokemon Hunger Games that is coming very soon, and I cannot wait to play it. There's a lot more that the server offers, but those are just some highlights. Anyway, in my first 100 days, I managed to capture 1 legendary, which was a Zapdos. I managed to beat a gym and complete a Pokéhunt. Unfortunately though, I was unable to complete the entire Generation 1 Pokédex, but I did make some good progress. In these next 100 days, I gave myself another 3 goals. My first goal was to get a Pokemon to reach level 100, which is the max level. My second goal was to go to the Warzone and catch a shadow Pokemon. That goal is going to be very risky because players can battle me and steal any of my Pokemon. And the third and final goal is to finally complete the Generation 1 Pokédex. Before we get into this video, please do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Only 16.5% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, and it would really mean a lot to me if you guys could do so. But anyway guys, I hope that you all enjoy, and let's get into the next 100 days. So the first thing that I wanted to do in these next 200 days was set a warp to my house. This way a bunch of players could join me and build around the town. So what I did next was I told the entire server to go to /warp_siren and build Pokemon themed stuff to make my town look good. Because as you guys know, I'm not the greatest builder, and the only thing I've really built so far was 2 dinky little structures. Oh, and look, we've already got some people here. I will say, for whatever reason, you guys really thought this house was pretty good, even though I don't think so, along with this Pokeball. And already off the bat, I've already accrued quite a few players that will hopefully build some amazing structures in the town, and they just keep swarming in. So now that I got an entire crew that will hopefully build a ton of stuff here, oh my gosh, they just keep coming. Now, one problem with this is I might get griefed and they might steal all my stuff, but I'm really hoping that everyone here is a good Samaritan and they don't do that. But this will allow me to go on my Pokemon adventure and hopefully come back to my house only to see incredible progress in the town. So as I said earlier, one of my objectives is to complete the entire Generation 1 Pokédex. We're really close. If we do check our Pokédex, the only things we don't have is our starters, a couple of things here and there, but most importantly, we don't have any of the legendaries. So I'm gonna start off this next 100 days with a bang. The first thing I'm gonna do is get the orb for the Articuno because we already have the Moltres orb, and then I'm gonna fill both of them up and battle both of them and hopefully catch them both as well. So I'm having a look on the GTS for an orb. Normally there is an orb somewhere, but I'm not actually seeing any right now. So I asked if anyone was selling an orb, and this guy said he was. Check out this base, it's actually amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and pay this guy $4,000 because that's how much I paid for my last one. And there we go. So now I have another orb. And the next thing I did was go to Warp Mart. This way I could buy an Ice Stone because that is what you have to combine with the orb in order to make a orb for Articuno. So now I have the Orb of Frozen Souls and also the Orb of Fiery Souls. The one thing I wasn't sure of when starting this off was whether or not both of the orbs will fill up at the same time or if only one of the orbs fills up at once. Ideally, they would both fill up, but I wasn't sure at the time. But anyway, if you guys didn't watch my first 100 days, basically the way that you fill these orbs up is you have to eliminate 375 Pokemon after you've made this specific orb. So I am most definitely going to be here for a while, killing all of these Pokemon. So after earthquaking my favorite Pokemon, Ludicolo, into a new dimension for about 30 minutes, I quickly realized that the orbs only fill up one at a time. As you can see in my hotbar, the durability for the Frozen Souls orb is the only one going down. The Fiery Souls is staying exactly where it was, which means that I'm gonna have to kill even more of my favorite Pokemon, Ludicolo. So after the orb of Frozen Souls was a little bit over halfway full, I decided to start EV training my Pokemon instead of just killing Ludicolos. This way, I'm kind of doing two birds with one stone. So now my Zapdos is going to be fully EV trained while me getting the orb of Frozen Souls up. So finally, after a really long time of filling up this orb, it's finally just about full, but I never really knew exactly how to tell if it is full or not, so I decided to keep on bashing some of these Cinderaces until I was 100% sure that the orb was full. The next thing I did was go back home because I wanted to see if there was any progress on the town. And unfortunately, there wasn't too much, but some people were building around. And it actually looks like there was a sign that said that there was a battlefield here. It's not much of a battlefield, but it gets the job done, I suppose. Then, to prepare for my fight with Articuno, I opened a couple of Vote Crate keys, and I got a lot of Ultra Balls, Great Balls, Timer Balls, Dusk Balls, Rare Candies, and a couple of other things that will help me in this battle. And so, here we are. We're still pretty early on in our 100 days, and we're already in a legendary battle. I was a little bit nervous going into this battle because I knew that Articuno would be able to damage all of my Pokemon. I was also a little bit worried about using Thundershock with Zapdos because I thought it might kill the Articuno, but luckily it actually not only did a ton of damage to it without killing it, but it also paralyzed him. I really couldn't have asked for anything more. So the next thing I did was throw an Ultra Ball at it because I couldn't damage him anymore with Zapdos without killing him. So I figured Zapdos would probably just have to die at this point. Unfortunately, this does not give me too much time to catch this guy. If you guys remember, it took Zapdos about 70 Ultra Balls for me to catch him. So then I went to Magneton because I wanted to try to get a little bit more damage out, but unfortunately, I misclicked and I accidentally clicked on Thunder Wave, which was not good. Then I risked it for the biscuit and went for Spark, but it actually didn't end up doing as much as I thought it would, which is probably good. Still though, Articuno wasn't in the red, which is not good. When you're catching a Pokemon, you always want them to be in the red and either paralyzed or asleep. And so what I tried to do next was a Rock Throw with level 29 Graveler, and he actually hung on with Sturdy and did a lot of damage. Now this is perfect. Articuno is now 1 HP and paralyzed, so if I don't catch him now, there's really nothing that I could have done differently. And so eventually Swampert did die, which means I have to go to my Dragonite, but unfortunately Articuno is ×4 effective against Dragonite, and so he did not survive very long. And so last up was our Hypno, who was level 81, which probably in hindsight was a terrible idea to level him up in the last episode. I probably should have spent my rare candies on another Pokemon, but unfortunately, he is the last Pokemon that we have. And so I was really nervous about this because I just spent so much time trying to get into this battle with the Articuno, and for me to not even catch him would be very sad. Unfortunately for me, this is the last chance that I have at catching the Articuno because it's going to kill me in the next hit, and there we go. So we lost to the Articuno. So I ended up actually finding the Articuno. He fell off the shrine and was all the way at the bottom. At the time, I thought that when you battle these legendaries that they despawned after the fight. It turns out that they don't. So that made me much happier. And I captured him on my very first Pokeball. He wasn't even in the red or paralyzed. Sometimes I really don't understand how this game works. And so there we go. Now we have an Articuno and a Zapdos. It looks like someone sent me a Dialga as well. The original trainer to this was Tinny. Thank you, Tinny, for sending this to me. After that exhilarating battle, my spirits were really high, and it made me really want to complete the trifecta and capture a Moltres. So what I did for the next very long time was fill up my Orb of Fiery Souls. And I knew that this would take a ton of Minecraft days to complete, but this is something that I just really wanted to rip off like a band-aid and get out of the way. So after an exhausting, very long time of Eevee training my Articuno, The Orb of Fiery Souls was finally ready. And so I warped home to go and get some revives and potions and stuff, only to find that a lot of my stuff was stolen. This is mostly my fault though, because I forgot to claim my chests. And so I decided to go to the mart and buy some potions for this battle. I decided to stock up on a bunch of revives because they were relatively cheap, and it's really important to keep as many Pokemon alive as possible in these battles. I also decided to get a bunch of fresh water because I'm pretty sure that they heal your Pokemon by 50 health points, and they were only $10. The next thing I did was look on the GTS for an XP all because I really wanted to get all of my Pokemon to a higher level before taking on this Moltres. Unfortunately, I didn't find one. So apparently the best way to get an XP all is to go to the boss tower, which you can get to by typing in /warp boss tower. This will take you to this area right here, where you can actually battle a ton of bosses where they drop you really rare loot. One thing you do have to be careful about when you battle these bosses though is that they're really high level and normally very strong. It does seem like this Clefable is not really able to hurt me much, but it's taking me forever to kill it. So after we destroyed that Clefable, we actually managed to get a Macho Brace and a Prism Scale, neither of which I found too valuable. There's actually multiple stories to the boss tower. If you go on the teleporter block and crouch or jump, it will take you up to the next levels. And then I found another legendary Clefable. Unfortunately, this one knew Moonblast, which was really bad for me and made it very difficult for me to actually beat it. But in the end, I did, and it actually gave me King's Rock and a Scope Lens. Again, not what I'm looking for. Then I got Never Melt Ice and a Weakness Policy. So it turns out the bosses I was fighting before were either rare or uncommon, but I thought that they were legendary. And then I found this Vaporeon that was level 105 because this is actually a legendary boss. Luckily, Zapdos was super effective against the Vaporeon and did a ton of damage and ended up killing it. Unfortunately for me, I still did not get my XP all, but I did get an Iron Plate, a Macho Brace, and an Assault Vest. If I'm able to collect all the different plates, I can actually summon Arceus, so this is a good start. Then I got an Electrizer, Fairy Gem, another Prism Scale, and another Macho Brace, Zoom Lens, a Metronome, and a Steel Gem, another Macho Brace and Lax Incense, an Eviolite, Razor Claw, and Dust Stone, Dawn Stone, Dragon Scale, and Splash Plate, Normal Gem, Steel Gem, Dragon Fang, and Dusk Stone again, Safety Goggles and Shed Shell, a Leaf Stone, another Macho Brace and Flame Orb, a Smooth Rock, another Prism Scale and Focus Band, Rocky Helmet and Rock Incense, Silver Powder and Sharp Beak, Mystic Water, Reaper Cloth and another Rock Incense, Toxic Orb and Electric Gem, Psychic Gem, Magmarizer, Dark Gem, Luck Incense, Razor Claw, Firestone, Zoom Lens, and Electric Gem, until I looked on the GTS again and found that there was actually an XP all listed, but it was for 4K, which I think is pretty expensive, but at the same time, I really wanted it. So I confirmed my purchase, and there we go. I now have an XP all. So even though it seemed like all that battle tower training was for nothing, I actually did get a ton of items. Here are all the items that I got from that battle tower training. Some of these are going to be really useful in battles. The next thing that I'm going to do is select a couple Pokemon that I would like to level up, specifically for battling Moltres and eventually Mew. I decided to bring Rhyhorn and Nidoking onto the team. To activate the XP all you have to do is right click and then it's activated. And so now every time I eliminate any Pokemon, my entire team splits the XP. So what I did for the next very long time was train in the area underneath spawn, because there are some Pokemon here that are very high leveled. And just like that, my Pokemon were leveling up really quickly. Articuno learned Ice Beam, Rhyhorn learned Takedown, Rhyhorn evolved into Rhydon, and also learned Hammer Arm, Zapdos learned Roost, and a couple other Pokemon learned other moves in general. But after grinding for a very long time, my team was finally a pretty solid level. Zapdos was level 85, Articuno was level 84, Rhydon was now level 67, Dragonite at 94, Nidoking at 73, and Swampert at 93. I still don't have any level 100s, but we can probably finish off those levels with some rare candies a little bit later. Now it's time to battle Moltres. So the next thing I did, of course, is warp to the shrines and look for the Moltres shrine. Before I started, I realized that I forgot all of my revives and all my potions, and so I went home real quick to grab those. Now that I had all my heals and revives, it was time to place the legendary orb into the shrine. The first Pokemon that I sent out against the Moltres was my Nidoking, and this is because I was pretty sure that any of my other Pokemon would just one-shot the Moltres. And so what I did was I used Nidoking Nidoking, and I used Chip Away a couple times. Unfortunately, my Nidoking died in 2 hits because Moltres was a lot stronger than I thought he was going to be. Then I quickly switched to my Rhydon, and I didn't want to use Stone Edge because I thought it would kill it in 1 hit. And so I went for a Mega Horn, but unfortunately that did next to nothing, and Rhydon was about to die. But I did remember that when I caught the Articuno, it still had a lot of HP and 0 status effects, so I tried my luck, and it didn't work. And so when I thought that I had a flawless plan, it turned out it really didn't work out too well. I went for a Gust with the Articuno, which actually didn't do too much damage, which was perfect, and I went for another one, which was really risky, but it paid off because now Moltres was essentially 1 HP. And the next thing to do now was just to throw as many Ultra Balls as I possibly could at the Moltres until it caught. Someone in chat told me to spam B while I was trying to catch this guy, and so I was just spamming B. Unfortunately, it didn't really seem to make a difference. And my last Pokemon was Zapdos. I finally just remembered that I had a bunch of revives and heals, so I decided to revive Swampa and a couple other of my members of the team. And the server crashed when I was mid-battle. This couldn't have been any more unfortunate. So, because the server crashed while I was mid-fight, I spoke to one of the managers, and he actually spawned me in another Moltres for me. This was kind of annoying, though, because I had the Moltres in the red and in a perfect position the first time around, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get as lucky the second time. Luckily, though, we were able to get him back into the red, not as deep as last time, but still good enough to hopefully catch him. After throwing Pokeballs at this guy for ages, I was already down to my last Pokemon again, so I decided to use a couple more revives. At this point, I'd already run out of Ultra Balls, and I was getting kind of desperate. What I decided to do was actually run from the battle and get my Raichu out from my PC. This will allow me to ensure that I paralyze the Moltres because he has Thunder Wave. So I thought, and it didn't even work. And eventually the Moltres used Struggle and killed itself. So after that horrible loss, I decided to go to sleep and pick things up the next day. So it was the next day, and at my house, there wasn't really any progress on any builds, unfortunately. I was really hoping for this to turn into something like crazy. So not only did we never even get to capture the Articuno, but we also didn't get an amazing town like I was hoping. So far, this second 100 days did not go very well. But that didn't stop me. Since I was fed up with going for legendary Pokemon, I decided to hunt for more of the regular Pokemon in the Pokedex that I still have yet to catch. So as I was hunting, the Pokemon I was hunting specifically for were the starters, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander. And luckily, I actually found a Bulbasaur pretty quickly. And my plan was, after I caught all 3 of them, that I would go back to spawn and evolve all of them with the XP All. Shortly after that, I got really lucky and ran into an Eevee. Now, Eevees are basically just as rare as starter Pokemon as far as I know. But it's really important that we get at least 2 Eevees. This way we can breed them. Because as I'm sure you know, there's a bunch of different Eevee evolutions. And so we're going to have to breed a bunch of these and then evolve all of them into their relative different evolution. So this was definitely a good start. I actually captured him in the first Pokeball that I threw, which was very, very lucky again. As I was exploring, I actually found a jungle, which is fairly rare, along with a mesa right next to each other. But the importance of finding a jungle is actually very, very important because this is where Mew spawns. And obviously, we're going to need to eventually find Mew. This way we can capture it and turn it into a Mewtwo with the cloning machine. So what I did was I set a home here. I typed in /set home jungle. This way, if I ever need to, I can just type in /home jungle and go straight to the jungle to hopefully find a Mew. And after searching the extreme hills for a very long time, I finally found a Charmander. Oh, finding these Pokemon took a very, very long time. After catching the Charmander, the very last starter that I needed to catch in this generation was a Squirtle, so I needed to find a beach biome. And even though I love long walks on the beach, this walk was a little bit too far before I finally found myself a Squirtle. Oh, it was such relief. And that meant that I have all 3 of the starter Pokemon. So what I did next was I went to the training area where I could battle really high levels. I turned on my XP All and I let Swampbutt do his thing and destroy Pokemon left, right, and center. Already after the first battle, all of my Pokemon were learning a bunch of new moves and evolving. Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, Bulbasaur evolved into Ivysaur, and lastly, Squirtle evolved into Wartortle. And eventually, Ivysaur evolved into Venusaur, Charmeleon evolved into Charizard, and Wartortle evolved into a Blastoise. Now my Pokedex was completely finished on the first page, and so there wasn't really too much left for me to do as far as catching regular Pokemon. So the next thing I did was actually go to buy a ranch block. What these blocks do is they actually allow you to breed your Pokemon together. Unfortunately, they're really expensive. They're $2,500, and so now I was left with just $966. So the reason I bought the ranch block was so that I could breed my Eevees together and get all of the Eeveelutions. The problem is it's really, really rare to find a female Eevee, and the one I caught was a male. I found a couple of other Eevees, but they were all male as well. And so what I ended up doing was asking anyone on the server if anyone has a Bad Ivy cheap female Eevee for sale. So in chat, I said that I would buy a female Eevee for $900, which is very, very cheap, by the way. And someone sold me one. Someone sold me one. But the thing is, it wasn't a bad Eevee at all. It was 87% female Eevee, and I feel really, really bad for taking it. Well, anyway, you gotta do what you gotta do, and it is time to breed. So what I did next was I put my ranch block down, I put my two Eevees back into the PC, and then I placed both of them into the ranch block. So the fastest way to get two Pokemon to breed is to put blocks in the ranch block area. As you can see, it is a 9x9, and those blocks need to match the Pokemon's typing. This way, those Pokemon are comfortable in their environment and will breed. So as you can see, when I right-click on the Eevee, it says Eevee is more attracted to 87 IVS every day. That's the name of this Eevee. That is because normal type Pokemon like the environment of grass blocks. But the environment that they like most, weirdly enough, is cakes. And so the next thing I did was I went back to the mart and I wanted to see how expensive cakes were. And to my surprise, cakes are $1,000 each. I would assume that is because it is really, really good for breeding Eevees. That is definitely not something I will ever invest in. It turns out normal Pokemon actually really like wool as well, even more than they like grass blocks. Grass blocks only have a value of 1, while wool has a value of 2. Cake has a value of 3. So wool is kind of the most in-between block. So what I'm gonna try to do is get enough money to buy a bunch of wool and replace all of the grass with wool. And what better way to make money than to do a Poke Hunt? Oh, and there's actually a Fearow here. Those are pretty easy to find. So I finally caught the Fearow, but unfortunately it was not the right nature, so I had to find another one with the correct nature. Not too long after, I found another one, and this one was the correct nature. And so I got my money and a bunch of rare candies. So I went back to the mart and purchased 81 white wool. And boom, with a little bit of perfect math, our last block fills up the ranch area. And so now if we right click on Eevee, it says Eevee falls madly in love with the other Eevee. So this is going to speed up the breeding process, and then eventually there's going to be an egg in the ranch block that I can withdraw. But while they breed, I am going to go out and try to complete a little bit more of the Pokedex. As I was power leveling my other Pokemon by using Swampert with an XP all on, he actually got to level 100. He's my first Pokemon to get to that level. So it's been a very, very long time since I've seen you guys last, and that is because I have almost completed the entire Pokedex now. There is just a Vulpix that I have not caught, but look at this, guys. I've actually caught almost every single other Pokemon except for Ditto, the other Eevees, which I kind of forgot about, to be honest. I'm sure my Eevees have an egg ready to be picked up, but also all of the fossil Pokemon I still need to get, along with Moltres, Mew, and Mewtwo. So what I'm going to do now is go into an ocean and find as many fossils as I possibly can. Finding fossils isn't really hard at all. All you need to do is swim on a Pokemon and go into a deep ocean biome. At the bottom of the ocean, a lot of times you'll find these little black blotches. These are what fossils actually are. All you have to do is mine them up and boom, you get yourself a fossil. I found a Pokemon down here that I've never seen or heard of before. It's called a Graploct, and so I captured it. So after I went fossil mining for a really long time, I ended up getting quite a bit of fossils. Then I went straight to the fossil room, which is right below spawn. In this area, the server provides all the things you need in order to uncover all of your Pokemon. And so that's exactly what I did. First fossil I got was a Helix fossil, and then I got a Jaw fossil, an Old Amber, a Cover fossil, and a plume fossil. I wanted to make sure that I uncovered as many as I could, so I did another round. And it actually tells you exactly what Pokemon each fossil is. Here is an old Amber, which is an Aerodactyl. That's one of the Pokemon I'm looking for. Here's a Helix fossil, which is an Ammonite, another Pokemon I'm looking for. And so then I placed both of the fossils into the fossil machines. And yes, I actually got a Dome fossil as well. So then I put all 3 of the fossils into the fossil machines and waited very, very patiently for them to become Pokemon. While my Pokemon were in the fossil machine, I decided it would be a great time to go take a dump. And when I came back, all 3 of my Pokemon were ready to be retrieved. So I put Pokeballs in all 3 of the slots and quickly withdrew all of them. Fossil mission, success. And then I evolved Kabuto into Kabutops and Ammonite into Amistar. After that, I put all my fossils back in my chest, saw that there was a Chikorita in my house, decided to leave it though. But also I noticed that there was actually an egg in the fossil machine. So I right-clicked it, claimed the egg, and took it for my own. Then I was gonna go hunting for a Vulpix when I saw that there was actually a chest full of items in it. A ton of Pokeballs, which I could actually use, some full restores, rare candy, and some other stuff. The package was from O Blanket. Thanks, man. Eventually, I found one. I caught it and quickly evolved it into a Ninetales. So now the last couple Pokemon I need are Ditto, the Eevees, Porygon, Moltres, and the Mews. Not too much left. My next mission was to find a Ditto, which spawns in the savannah, but it's extremely rare. I was searching for the Ditto for so long that my Eevee actually hatched. It was at this point that I actually realized that there was only 3 Eeveelutions in Generation 1. For some reason, I thought that there was a lot more. And we actually currently have 3 Eevees. So then I went home, took my Eevees out, went to the mart, bought a Firestone, a Waterstone, and I was about to buy a Leafstone, but then I remembered I actually have one at home from the boss tower. And then I realized I already had a Firestone as well. And a Waterstone. Nice. So then I got my Eevees out, and I evolved them into a Flareon, a Vaporeon. Then when I tried to evolve my Eevee with the Leafstone, it wasn't working. And then I remembered to evolve it, you actually have to find a mossy rock in a forest and level up your Eevee near it. And then I realized that I'm an idiot and that Leafeon isn't even Generation 1. It's Jolteon. So I bought a Thunderstone and I gave it to Eevee. And so now we have all the Eevees. The last Pokemon we need are Ditto, Porygon, Moltres, Mew, and Mewtwo. I saw that there was another orb on the market and I decided to buy it. Then I bought another Firestone and combined it with the orb. So now we have another orb of Fiery Souls. After about getting halfway through the Fiery Souls orb, I decided to hunt for a Ditto because I got pretty bored. And luckily, I actually found one pretty quickly. Not too long after, I captured it. I finished filling up the orb, leveled up Raichu a little bit, and got some Pokeballs. Now, I'm ready to battle Moltres. My plan this time around was to get him paralyzed immediately by using Raichu. That worked like a charm. Unfortunately, Raichu died straight away after, but it's okay. He did his job. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get him into the red without killing him, and so I ended up having to throw my Pokeballs at him while he was still in the yellow. But at least he's paralyzed this time. And finally, after a very long time, we caught the stupid flaming chicken. It was easily the most annoying Pokemon to capture. Now we have 3 Pokemon left. A Porygon, a Mew, and a Mewtwo. Oh, and someone give me a Master Ball. I'm not sure why, but thank you. And a Pixie Plate, and another Orb of Fiery Souls. I will never battle that thing again. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time left in these 100 days, and so what I decided to do was get my entire team over level 75. The reason I wanted to get all my Pokemon over level 75 is because the only way you're allowed to enter the Warzone is if your entire party is, well, over level 75. And so the next place that I went to is the Warzone. The Warzone is a very, very scary place. In this area, tons of unique Pokemon spawn, legendary rates are buffed, and even shadow Pokemon will spawn. You just have to be careful when you battle other players, because if you lose the battle, that other player will be able to steal one of your Pokemon. So it's a very risky place to be. And not too long after, I actually found myself a Shadow Claydol. I caught it pretty quickly, and then I found a Shadow Skiploom, but I wasn't too interested in catching that, to be honest. And then I found a Shadow Shiftry. After I captured him, I noticed that there was actually a Shadow Bidoof right next to me, and a Shadow Meganium with a Garchomp behind it, and a Shadow Mawile. I caught the Bidoof, and then I went straight to the Meganium. One thing that I was struggling with was actually damaging any of the Pokemon, because since there's a level requirement of level 75 to get into the Warzone, all of my levels were a lot higher than the Pokemon I was trying to catch, but we still managed to catch the Meganium. And then we found one of my favorite Pokemon, a Shadow Luxray, and we captured him. I saw a player coming, and he decided to battle me. This is what I was really scared about. I got too greedy, and I really wanted to leave earlier, but unfortunately, I'm now forced to battle this player. And he forfeited the the battle. I'm fairly sure he would have destroyed all of my Pokemon. And now I get to steal one of his. And so I want to steal his Darmanitan, and it's a perfect Darmanitan, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and steal it, but I'm pretty sure he was being nice because he didn't want to kill me. So I'm going to save place. The only way to get out of the Warzone is to do /save place and then not move for 5 seconds. But I feel really bad that I just stole his Pokemon, especially because he forfeited and was obviously going to beat me. And so I sold it back to him for free. But that is definitely the last I will ever go into the Warzone. We did get quite a few Shadow Pokemon, including Luxray, Bidoof, Shiftry, and Claydol, and Meganium. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the 100 days. I did manage to smash some of my goals, and I still failed other ones. For example, we did get Swampbutt to level 100. We did go to the Warzone and capture some Shadow Pokemon, but what we failed to do was complete the Generation 1 Pokedex. We still have Mew, Mewtwo, and Porygon to do. So if you guys do want to see a 300 days of Pixelmon, let me know, and in those 300 days, I will definitely be able to capture Mew, get Mewtwo, and also get Porygon to complete the Generation 1 Pokedex. But other than not being able to capture those 3 Pokemon, I'm really happy with the way that this 100 days went. Also, thank you guys so much for the support on episode 1. It really means a lot to me, and that's why I decided to make another 100 episodes so quickly. So if this episode also gets a ton of support, then I will definitely make another 100 days playing Pixelmon. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you, dudes!